The Galactic Council had watched humanity for 300 years. They placed hidden sensors near Earth's moon. They sent invisible ships to study human radio signals. They recorded everything humans did, every war, every invention, every step into space. The Council was made of 200 alien species. Some had lived among the stars for millions of years. They built empires across thousands of worlds. They controlled trade routes that stretched across entire galaxies. To them, humans were like children playing with stones. They fight each other constantly, said the observers in their reports. They waste resources on weapons instead of progress. They will destroy themselves before they ever leave their system. The Council agreed. Humanity was not a threat. Humanity was entertainment. But the Council made a terrible mistake. They stopped watching closely. Admiral stood on the command bridge of the Everest. She was 53 years old. Her black hair was cut short, and her eyes held the sharpness of a woman who had seen too many battles. She wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Navy with 3 gold stars on her collar. The Everest was humanity's greatest achievement. It was a Titan-class warship, the first of its kind, 12 kilometers long from bow to stern. Its hull was made from metals that scientists had created in laboratories deep beneath the Earth, metals that could survive the heat of a star, metals that could stop any weapon known to exist. The ship carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. Its main cannon used concentrated antimatter, a weapon so powerful that testing it had required a specially cleared zone beyond Neptune. The crew numbered 15,000, each one trained for years before earning a place aboard. Had commanded the Everest for 2 years. She knew every corridor, every system, every weakness. She loved the ship the way a mother loves a difficult child. It was dangerous and beautiful and absolutely necessary. "Admiral," said Lieutenant from his station. He was young, perhaps 25, with nervous hands that moved too quickly across his screens. "We have something strange on long-range sensors." "Walk to a station, show me." The display changed to show the outer edge of the solar system, beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, in the cold darkness where sunlight barely reached. There were ships there, alien ships. "How many?" asked. Her voice did not change. Her heart did not speed up. She had prepared for this moment her entire career. 15 vessels, replied. One large ship approximately 2 kilometers long. The rest are smaller, escort class probably. Commander appeared at side. She was the ship's tactical officer, a woman of 40 with a scar across her left cheek from a training accident years ago. Her mind worked like a computer, calculating threats and responses faster than anyone had ever met. "They're using some kind of cloaking technology," said. "Our old sensors would never have detected them. They probably don't know we can see them." "How long have they been there?" "Unknown. Could be days, could be weeks." Stared at the display. 15 ships, an alien fleet at the edge of human space. 300 years of watching, and now they had finally decided to act. "They're moving," reported, "heading toward the inner system, toward Earth." The bridge fell silent. Every officer understood what this meant. First contact with alien life, but not the peaceful kind that humanity had dreamed about. This was something else. This was an assessment. "They think we don't know they're coming," said quietly. "They think we're still the primitives they saw a century ago." "Should we contact Earth Command?" asked. "Already done." Turned to face her crew. 20 officers on the main bridge, all of them watching her with mixture of fear and determination. "General quarters, all hands to battle stations." Alarms rang through the ship. 15,000 crew members moved to their positions. Weapon systems powered up. Shield generators hummed with energy. The Everest transformed from a sleeping giant into a weapon of war. "Navigation," commanded. "Plot an intercept course. Put us between that fleet and Earth." Lieutenant, the weapons officer, looked up from his console. He was a large man with gentle eyes that hid a killer's precision. "Admiral, should we charge the main cannon?" "Not yet. Let them see us first. Let them understand what they're facing." The Everest moved through space like a predator emerging from shadows. Its engines burned with blue fire that distanced stars. It was not fast, but it did not need to be fast. It simply needed to be there. Thought about Earth behind her. 12 billion people going about their lives, working, sleeping, laughing, crying. They had no idea that alien ships were approaching. They had no idea that their future depended on what happened in the next few hours. "Time to intercept?" she asked. 6 hours, the navigation officer replied. 6 hours. Enough time to prepare, enough time to think, enough time to wonder if humanity was truly ready for what came next. "The Council has watched us for 300 years, said to no one in particular. They saw us fight wars over land and oil and ideas. They saw us split atoms and build machines. They saw us reach for the moon and Mars and beyond." She walked to the main viewport. Stars stretched across the infinite darkness. "But they never saw us build this ship. They never saw us prepare for them. They thought we were children." Her reflection stared back at her from the glass. They were wrong. High Arbiter had conquered 11 worlds in his career. He had watched cities burn from orbit. He had accepted the surrender of kings and queens and presidents. He had never once felt fear in battle. There were predators. Their ancestors had hunted across the jungles of there, killing anything that moved. Evolution had given them 4 arms, skin like armor and eyes that could see in total darkness. When they reached the stars, they simply found new things to hunt. "Report," commanded from his throne on the bridge of the. His second-in-command checked the displays. "We are approaching the 4th planet of this system. The humans call it Mars. There is the 3rd planet still several hours away." "Any signs of detection?" "None, High Arbiter. Their sensor technology is primitive. They have no idea we are here." Allowed himself a small smile. The Galactic Council had authorized this mission personally. Humanity had grown too quickly in recent decades. They had built bases on their moon and Mars. They had sent probes to the outer planets. Some members of the Council were concerned. "Assess them," the Council had ordered. "Determine if they pose a future threat." Knew what that meant. If humanity was dangerous, they would be dealt with. They had dealt with dangerous species before. There were 17 empty worlds across the galaxy that once held intelligent life. They had made them empty. "High Arbiter," another officer called out. "I'm detecting something unusual near the gas giant." "What kind of unusual?" "A large object moving toward us." Stood from his throne. "Show me." The main display flickered. It showed the gas giant that humans called Jupiter, and emerging from behind it, like a beast rising from the depths of an ocean, came something impossible. The bridge fell silent. 4 hearts began to beat faster. His eyes, designed to see in darkness, struggled to process what they were showing him. His mind, trained for war, could not understand what it was facing. "That cannot be real," whispered. But it was real. A human ship, impossibly huge, moving toward them with terrible purpose. It was not elegant like vessels. It was not sleek or graceful. It was brutal and massive and covered with weapons that could not identify. "Size?" he managed to ask. 12 kilometers, High Arbiter." The largest warship ever built was 3 kilometers long. The Council's greatest vessel was 4. This human ship was 3 times larger than anything that existed in the known galaxy. "How?" demanded. "How is this possible? They were primitives." No one answered. There was no answer. "High Arbiter, we are receiving a transmission." On screen, a human female appeared. She wore a military uniform and stood perfectly still. Her eyes were dark and cold, like the space between stars. When she spoke, her voice carried no emotion at all. This is Admiral of the United Earth Navy, commanding the Titan-class warship Everest. You have entered human space without authorization. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. You have 60 seconds to comply. Found his voice. I am High Arbiter of the Dominion. We come as representatives of the Galactic Council. We mean no harm to. You were using cloaking technology, interrupted. Ships that mean no harm do not hide themselves. You were approaching Earth without announcement. That is not diplomacy. That is reconnaissance. You cannot possibly know our intentions. We intercepted your communications 4 days ago. Your encryption was impressive by galactic standards. It took our computers almost 3 hours to break it. Felt ice form in his chest. 3 hours. The encryption was supposed to be unbreakable. The Council's best experts had designed it. We have read your orders, High Arbiter, continued. We know you were sent to assess whether humanity poses a threat. We know what to do to species they consider threatening. You misunderstand. 17 species, extinct by hands. The expression did not change. You will not add humanity to that list. Grabs arm. High Arbiter, we should retreat, regroup with the main fleet, return with more ships. Wanted to agree. Every instinct told him to run. But he was a High Arbiter of the Dominion. He had never retreated from anything. Admiral, he said, forcing strength into his voice. Your ship is impressive, but you are one vessel against 15. The mathematics favor us. For the first time, something changed in its expression. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something worse. It was pity. High Arbiter, she said slowly, I am going to give you one chance to leave this system peacefully, one chance to return to your council and tell them that humanity is not to be touched. You will not receive a second chance. And if we refuse, then I will demonstrate why the mathematics do not favor you at all. The transmission ended. Stared at the blank screen, his 4 hearts pounding, his warrior's pride battling against a fear he had never known. High Arbiter asked, what are your orders? Looked at the human ship on the display. 12 kilometers of metal and malice, waiting in the darkness like a monster from ancient nightmares. Hold position, he said. We will see what this human is capable of. It was the worst decision he would ever make. Admiral watched the alien fleet on her tactical display. 15 ships holding position, waiting to see what she would do. She had studied predators her entire life. She knew what was thinking. He was confused. He was scared. But his pride would not let him retreat. Pride was useful. Pride made enemies predictable. Commander said, what is the status of their weapons? Charged but not locked. They're preparing to fight, but they haven't committed yet. Good, and our weapons? Main cannon at full power. Secondary batteries ready. Shield generators operating at maximum capacity. Nodded. She walked to the center of the bridge, where a holographic display showed the positions of every ship in the area. The Everest was a blue dot. The fleet was a cluster of red dots. Between them was nothing but empty space and cold starlight. Lieutenant, she said, target the asteroid designated KX-7. It's approximately 400 kilometers to starboard of the enemy fleet. Looked at his screens. I have it, Admiral. 312 kilometers in diameter, mostly iron and nickel. Lock the main cannon, 5% power. The bridge went quiet. Every officer understood what 5% meant. They had seen the tests. They had read the reports. 5% power from the Everest's main cannon was enough to destroy a small moon. Target locked, confirmed. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly. Fire. The Everest shuddered. A beam of pure white light erupted from the bow of the ship, cutting through space like a blade through paper. It crossed the distance to the asteroid in less than a second. The asteroid did not explode. Explosions were messy, violent things with debris and fire. This was different. The asteroid simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, 300 kilometers of solid rock and metal. The next moment it was gone, converted entirely into energy that scattered across the void. On the flagship, chaos erupted. Watched his sensors go blind from the energy release. Alarms screamed throughout the ship. Officers abandoned their stations in panic. One of the escort ships broke formation and began to flee. "That is not possible," said, his voice breaking. "That is not physically possible." "Silence!" roared. He grabbed a console to steady himself. His mind was racing, trying to calculate what he had just witnessed. A weapon that could destroy an asteroid that size with a single shot. A weapon firing at 5% power. "High Arbiter." The communications officer's voice was barely a whisper. "We are receiving another transmission." Admiral appeared on screen again. Her expression had not changed at all. She looked at the way a human might look at an insect. "That was 5% power," she said. "Our main cannon has a maximum output of 100%. Would you like to see what 100% looks like?" Could not speak. His throat had closed. His four hearts beat so fast he thought they might burst. "That asteroid was approximately the same size as your largest moon," continued. "Your fleet, all 15 vessels combined, has less mass than that asteroid. I trust you understand what I am telling you. You would not dare attack us," managed. "The Council would respond. The entire galaxy would turn against you. The entire galaxy has ignored humanity for 300 years. The entire galaxy decided we were primitives not worth attention. The entire galaxy allowed to exterminate 17 intelligent species without consequence." Leaned forward slightly. "Do you really think we care what the galaxy thinks of us?" Another escort ship broke formation and fled, then another, then two more. Watched his fleet dissolve around him. "Call them back," he screamed at his officers. "Order them to hold position." "They're not responding," High Arbiter said. They're too afraid." Looked at the human ship on his display. 12 kilometers of death, sitting in space like a patient predator. He had hunted his entire life. He had never once been the prey. Until now. "Admiral," he said, forcing his voice to remain steady, "what do you want?" "I want you to leave. I want you to return to the Galactic Council. I want you to tell them exactly what you saw today, every detail, every measurement, every reading your sensors recorded. And if I do this, then you live, your crew lives, your remaining ships live. You go home and tell stories about the day you met humanity's first Titan-class warship." Closed his eyes. He thought about his world so far away. He thought about his family waiting for him to return victorious. He thought about his pride, his honor, his reputation. Then he thought about that asteroid, vanishing in an instant. "What is your message for the Council?" he asked. His eyes seemed to darken. "Tell them this. Humanity remembers. We remember being watched. We remember being judged. We remember being dismissed as primitives. And we remember the 17 species that the murdered while the Council watched and did nothing." She paused. "Tell them that the age of human weakness is over. The Everest is the first of 8 Titan-class warships. Within 10 years, we will have 20. Within 50 years, we will have a fleet that can challenge the entire galaxy. You would go to war with all of us." "No," said. "We would finish a war that started 300 years ago when the Council decided to watch us like animals in a cage. We did not start this, but we will end it." The transmission cut off. Stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by empty stations and flashing alarms. Half his fleet had already fled. The other half was waiting for orders that he did not know how to give. "Set course for home," he finally said. "Maximum speed." He did not look back at the human ship as they fled. He could not bear to see it watching him run. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest structure ever built by intelligent life. It floated in the center of a specially constructed star system, powered by energy collectors that harvested light from 3 artificial suns. Representatives from over 300 species gathered there to decide the fate of civilizations. Today, the chamber was filled with fear. High Arbiter stood at the speaker's platform, a circular stage that floated above the assembled delegates. He had not slept in 6 days. He had not eaten in 3. The journey home had been a nightmare of silence and shame. "Show them," he said to the technicians. The recording played across every screen in the chamber, the Everest emerging from behind Jupiter, the asteroid vanishing in a flash of light, Admiral's cold eyes and colder words. When it ended, no one spoke. The chamber, normally filled with arguments and debates, was completely silent. Grand Arbiter was the first to break that silence. She was ancient, even by galactic standards. Her species lived for thousands of years, and she had ruled the Council for almost half of that time. Her body was frail, supported by machines that kept her alive, but her mind was still sharp. "Play that part again," she said, "the weapon firing." The technicians obeyed. The beam of light, the asteroid disappearing, the sensor readings that showed energy levels beyond anything in Council records. "Impossible," said Ambassador of the Federation. His species resembled giant insects with compound eyes that saw everything. "Our scientists say such a weapon cannot exist. The power requirements alone would require—" "The weapon exists," interrupted. "I watched it fire, my sensors recorded everything. It is real." "Then the humans have discovered something we have not," said Elder of the Collective. He stood on 8 legs, his body covered in silver scales. "Some new physics, some new technology." "It does not matter how they built it," said. "What matters is that they have it, and they have 7 more under construction." The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Translators struggled to keep up. Fear spread like a disease through the assembled delegates. "We must destroy them," screamed Ambassador of the Empire, "before they build more ships, before they become too strong." "With what?" demanded. "You saw the recording. That ship destroyed an asteroid larger than most moons with a single shot at 5% power. How many ships would we need to defeat it? 100, 1,000. "Then we use planet killers," replied. "We destroy there before they can." "And then what?" Elder interrupted. "They have colonies on other worlds, bases throughout their system. Destroy Earth, and you create an enemy that will hunt us across the galaxy forever." Raised her hand. Slowly the chamber fell quiet. "We created this situation," she said. "We watched humanity for 3 centuries. We decided they were primitives. We ignored them while they built weapons we cannot match." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Our arrogance has brought us to this moment." "What do you suggest?" asked Ambassador. "I suggest we listen to their message, all of it." The technicians played the full recording of Admiral's words, her accusations against the Council, her reminder of the 17 extinct species, her warning about the future. "She is not wrong," said when it finished. "We allowed the to commit genocide. We watched and did nothing because it did not affect us. The humans remember this. They have built their entire military strategy around the assumption that we cannot be trusted." "We could offer treaties," suggested a representative from a minor species. "Trade agreements, technology sharing." "Would you trust us?" asked. "If you were human, would you trust a council that allowed 17 species to be exterminated? Would you trust allies who watched you like animals for 300 years?" No one answered. "They do not want treaties," continued. "They do not want friendship. They want to be left alone. They want to grow strong enough that no one can ever threaten them again." "And when they are strong enough," asked Elder, "when they have 20 Titan-class ships, 50, 100, what happens then?" Closed her ancient eyes. "Then we will face the consequences of our choices. We will face a species that we underestimated, dismissed, and ignored. A species that built weapons while we built empires. A species that learned to survive against all odds because they had no one to help them. "This is madness," Ambassador said. "We are the Galactic Council. We control thousands of worlds. We have fleets beyond counting. We cannot simply surrender to one primitive species." "One primitive species," repeated bitterly. "That is what we called them. That is what we believed. And now that one primitive species has a ship that can destroy our with a single shot." He stepped forward, his 4 arms spread wide. "I have conquered 11 worlds. I have killed millions. I have never once felt fear in battle." His voice dropped to a whisper. "I felt fear when I saw that ship. I felt fear when I looked into that human's eyes. She was not bluffing. She was not negotiating. She was simply stating facts." The chamber fell silent again. "What do we do?" someone asked. Opened her eyes. "We do nothing. We watch. We wait. And we pray to whatever gods we believe in that humanity never decides to take revenge for 300 years of being treated like animals." She looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives of 300 species. "Because if they do, there is nothing any of us can do to stop them." The recording of the Everest played one final time. 12 kilometers of human fury floating in the darkness of space. And across the galaxy, the Council trembled. 6 months passed since the encounter with the fleet. 6 months of silence from the Galactic Council. 6 months of humanity watching the stars and wondering what would come next. Admiral stood in her quarters aboard the Everest, looking out at the Earth below. The blue planet turned slowly, covered in clouds and oceans, and the lights of 12 billion lives. She had not set foot on that world in 3 years. Command of a Titan-class warship did not allow for vacations. A knock on her door broke the silence. "Enter." Commander walked in, carrying a data tablet. Her face held an expression that had never seen before. Confusion mixed with something that might have been hope. "Admiral, we're receiving signals from the outer system. Multiple alien vessels." Felt her body tense. "How many? What class?" "Over 200 ships, Admiral, but they're not warships." "Explain." Handed over the tablet. Looked at the sensor readings. 200 vessels of different sizes and designs, all approaching Earth's orbit in a careful, organized formation. None of them had weapons powered. None of them were using cloaking technology. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said. "In every language we transmitted during the radio era. English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, all of them. The same message over and over." "What message?" "We come in peace. We request permission to approach. We wish to talk." Stared at the readings for a long moment. 200 ships, not an invasion fleet. A diplomatic convoy. The largest diplomatic convoy in the history of the galaxy if the reports from captured communications were accurate. Who sent them? The manifest lists representatives from 212 species, including the Federation, the Collective, and, paused, and the Dominion. The one to talk. Apparently, they've sent a formal request for an audience with Earth's leaders, very polite, very humble, nothing like their usual tone. Allowed herself a small smile. Fear was a powerful teacher. "Have them hold position at the edge of the system," she ordered. "I want full scans of every vessel before they come any closer, and contact Earth Command. They need to know about this." "Already done, Admiral. The President is requesting your presence at the orbital station for the initial meetings." Nodded. She took one last look at Earth, then turned to face her tactical officer. 6 months ago, we showed them what we could do," she said. "Now we show them who we are." The meetings took 3 weeks. Representatives from dozens of species waited in orderly lines at Earth's orbital station, each requesting their turn to speak with human leaders. They brought gifts from there. They brought offers of trade and technology. They brought apologies for centuries of neglect. watched from the Everest as the endless parade of alien diplomats came and went. She did not participate in the meetings. That was work for politicians and ambassadors. Her job was simpler. Her job was to make sure everyone remembered what happened to those who threatened humanity. Commander found her on the observation deck one evening, staring out at the alien fleet. "You're not celebrating with the others," said. "I have nothing to celebrate. We won, Admiral. We forced the entire galaxy to recognize humanity as equals. That seems worth celebrating." Shook her head slowly. "We didn't win, we survived. There's a difference." "What do you mean?" "Look at them," pointed at the alien ships. "They're not here because they respect us. They're here because they fear us. They saw what the Everest could do, and they decided it was safer to be our friends than our enemies. Isn't that enough? For now, but fear fades. Memories grow short. In 100 years, they'll forget what they saw today. They'll start wondering if humanity has grown weak. They'll start making plans. Considered this, so what do? We build more ships. We train more soldiers. We push our technology further than anyone thinks possible, and we stay ready. Ready for what? Ready for the day they forget to be afraid." Turned away from the viewport. She walked to the command console and brought up the construction schedules for the next 7 Titan-class warships. Each one would be larger than the Everest. Each one would carry more powerful weapons. "The Council watched us for 300 years, she said. "They decided we were primitives because we fought each other, because we struggled and suffered and died. They thought our conflicts made us weak." She called up images of human history, wars and plagues and disasters, humanity clawing its way out of the darkness again and again. "They were wrong, our conflicts made us strong. Every war taught us new ways to fight. Every plague taught us new ways to survive. Every disaster taught us new ways to rebuild." She closed the images. "We are what we are because nothing could destroy us. Not nature, not disease, not even ourselves." Nodded slowly, "And now? Now we face a new challenge. A galaxy full of species that will smile at us while they wait for a chance to strike. Allies who will betray us the moment they think they can win." "That sounds exhausting." Laughed a rare sound. "It is, but it's also human. We've never had true peace. We've never had safety. We've always been surrounded by enemies both outside and within." She looked at the alien fleet one last time. "The only difference now is that our enemies are afraid of us, and that is exactly how it should be." In the darkness of space, the Everest floated like a silent guardian. Its weapons were powered down. Its shields were inactive. It looked almost peaceful. But everyone who saw it knew the truth. That ship was not peaceful. That ship was a promise. A promise that humanity would never again be weak. A promise that humanity would never again be prey. A promise that anyone who threatened Earth would face consequences beyond their worst nightmares. The Council had watched humanity for 300 years and seen children. Now they saw the truth. And the truth terrified them.